In this video, we're going to look at probability sampling or random sampling. And this is the best type of sampling method there is. And the reason why is because when we choose people to come and participate, everyone has an equal and independent chance of being chosen. So this is the greatest type of sampling strategy. And let's look at some examples. So the first example we'll look at is simple random sampling. So there's 4 different types that we're going to look at today. So simple random sampling is when you have a group of people. So let's say over here, I have 20 people. I put all their names into a hat and I randomly choose 5 people. And these are the 5 people that were chosen. Now those 5 people will come and participate in my study. So maybe I have a new drug that I want to try out. So these are all the people that are willing to participate in my study. And I put everyone's name in a hat and I choose 5 people. And those 5 people will be given that drug, and we're going to see whether that drug is effective or not. So that's the best way, because I had no say as to who is getting picked, and my participants, have no say as to who is getting picked. It's all by chance. It's all randomization. So this is the best way of doing it. The only disadvantage is it's very time consuming, because let's go back to this slide. Let's say there were 1,000 people. To find 1,000 names, put them all in a hat or put them all in a computer system and generate a random sample is not always so easy. If I look at Ontario, though, the population of Ontario is a lot, right? And if I put everyone's name down of all the residents that live in Ontario and I randomly choose, it's just a lot of work, because to find everyone will be very difficult. So it's very hard to do, but the risk of bias is very low. So there's almost no bias at all, which is great because we like it when there's no bias. Then we're going to look at something called stratified random sampling. And when I think of stratified, I look at this word and I think of strata. When you think of strata, think of groups. So think of groups. Strata basically means group. And so this is where you group people. So I could have semester 1 students, semester 2 students, semester 3 students, and semester 4 students, and I get 10 people from each group to come forward and participate in my study. Now those 10 people that I have chosen from each group are randomized. So I put everyone's name in semester 1 in a hat, and I randomly choose 10 people to come here and participate in my study. In semester 2, I put everyone's name in a hat, and I randomly choose 10 people to come and participate in my study. And I do the same for semester 3 and semester 4. So when you have groups and then you randomly choose people from the groups, that is called stratified random sampling. So again, it's time consuming because we have groups and then we got to put everyone's names into a hat and then bring them forward. So there is a process here, but it's still good. It's still, the risk of bias is low. The best way is simple random sampling, where everyone here is put into one group, but sometimes it's not feasible. And we want to, sometimes we'll just want to split them up and then randomly choose from each group. Then we have something called multistage sampling. And this is where you start from something really big and you work your way down to something small. So here we could be looking at a state, so United States, and we randomly put all the names of the states into a hat and randomly choose 3 states. Okay, so I chose this state, and this state randomly from a hat. Then we can look at one example. So let's look at A, for example. So state A, I bring that here and I look at all the houses and I randomly choose 3. So all the houses get into a hat. And I randomly choose 2 houses, for example. So these 2 houses got selected. And then from this house, I find people and I ask them the questions that I want to ask about my research. So multistage is you randomly choosing states, then you're randomly choosing houses from that state, then you're randomly choosing people. So if there's 10 people living here, you randomly choose 5 people. And those 5 people will come and participate in my study. It's also known as cluster sampling. I'm going to give you a different example here. So again, we have United States here, and we put all the names of the states into a hat, and we randomly choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we randomly choose 7 states. And from the 7 states, we randomly choose 1 state. And let's say we got this state. And then from this state, we randomly choose houses. And so let's say we got this, or a city, and we got these houses from the city. And from this, we randomly choose any house, and we got this house got selected. So this house gets asked the questions that I have for my research. Okay, so you see how it starts with something big and then goes from the state to the city to the house, right, to the people. So it just gets smaller and smaller. That's multi-stage sample. It was easier to do because instead of asking every single person in the state, we're breaking it down into stages. Systematic sampling is actually a very common one, where I ask the third person in the class, for example, to come and participate in my study, or sorry, the fourth person maybe. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get chosen for my study. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get chosen for my study. 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 15 will get chosen for my study, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. This one will come forward and participate in my study. So I randomly choose a number, and in this case, let's say I randomly choose 4. So every fourth person will come forward and participate in my study. So you randomly choose any number. So here I could say 3 is the random number. So I put maybe I could put number 1 to 10 in a hat, and when I pick out a number, I get number 3. So 1, 2, 3, this is the third person. So if I'm looking at the attendance sheet, the third person from the attendance sheet will come forward and participate in my studies. Here's the next third person, right? And so on. I could randomly choose a number, and let's say I randomly choose the number 20. So when I'm looking at a phone directory, for example, I call the 20th person. So I call this one, then I go down 20 names, and then I choose this one. Then I go down 20 names, and I choose this person, and so on and so forth. So the people that are circled are the ones that are coming forward, or are the ones that I'm reaching out to, rather, to participate in my study. Okay, so this video over here, we've used the type of sampling. I do encourage you guys to watch that. And remember, what we usually say is that when we're looking at sample size, or when we're looking at the number of people that have come forward to participate in the study, typically we like a large number. So most of the time we like to see many people participate. So if I'm doing a study, I don't want just 10 people to participate. I want 1,000 people to participate. Because when I have more people that participate, I get a variety of answers. I can get a better understanding of what people are thinking, and it makes my study stronger. Okay, so the larger the sample size, typically, the better. And so to conclude, there is a procedure that we do when we're employing sampling techniques. The first thing we ask ourselves is, who do we want to survey, or who do we want to do the study on? And so going back to that example of Georgian College, and how I, as a researcher, want to know whether the students are having a positive or negative experience at Georgian College, my target population are all the full-time students at Georgian College. That's my target population. That's the people that I'm interested in. Then what I do is I figure out the accessible population. Maybe I could get even more specific, and I could say I'm only interested in the dental hygiene students at Georgian College, the full-time dental hygiene students at Georgian College. So now I'm describing my population. I'm getting more specific. So I only want to see the dental hygiene students, the full-time dental hygiene students. So now I develop a sampling plan. And maybe my sampling plan could be convenience sampling, although that's not a really good type of sampling. Maybe my sampling plan could be random sampling, simple random sampling, and that would be more ideal. Once I decide what type of sampling plan I'm going with, or what type of sampling strategy I want to use, then what I do is I go to the Research Ethics Board and I ask for permission. I obtain approval. And once I get the approval from the Research Ethics Board, then I can go ahead and do my study. So there is a process.